Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a truly extraordinary journey, one that challenges long-held beliefs and unearths secrets hidden for millennia. We've been handed a stack of fascinating sources from author Tony Bushby, particularly from his work, The Secret in the Bible. Our mission really is to extract the most provocative nuggets of knowledge and insight from his perspective.
Indeed. And this deep dive isn't about, reaffirming traditional history as you might know it.
No.
Instead, it offers an unapologetically non-orthodox approach to subjects like Christianity and Egyptology.
Right.
Our source material contends that, and this is a quote, regardless of how many people may be disturbed, there are no religions superior to the historic truth. So we'll be exploring the evidence and interpretations presented to support that bold claim, inviting you to consider these alternative viewpoints.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some truly surprising facts, or claims rather, from ancient initiation rituals and the nature of biblical figures to hidden ciphers in sacred texts and a radically different story of the Great Pyramid.
Yeah. Quite a scope.
So what does this all mean for our conventional understanding of history and belief? Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's begin our exploration with the ancient mystery schools. These weren't just academic institutions in the modern sense, according to our source. They were the keepers of secret knowledge, arising from humanity's highest aspirations for eternal verities. It sounds almost like an ancient philosophical quest for ultimate truth, rather than just a religious doctrine.
It does. And an intriguing detail emerges when we look at their origins. The source claims these schools originated in Egypt, and their core Panther knowledge was introduced in the earliest days of mankind.
Panther knowledge?
Yeah, Panther apparently refers to a designation for those who had attained a deep, sort of esoteric understanding of universal laws in human nature. Think of Plato's Timaeus, where Solon was told by Egyptian priests of chronologies dating back 9,000 years. I mean, that suggests immense ancient archives.
9,000 years?
Right. And Herodotus himself, often called the father of history, claimed Egyptian priests were in possession of prehistoric records. It implies a depth of historical understanding far beyond what we typically imagine.
Definitely.
Even historical figures like, apparently, Julius Caesar and Rabbi Jesus are said to have carried this Panther designation, indicating they were initiated bearers of this special hidden knowledge.
Huh. So it wasn't just some obscure sect then, if figures like that were involved, according to this view.
That's the implication.
And these weren't your typical university admissions processes, that's for sure.
Not at all.
The initiation procedures were described as time-consuming and arduous, often taking many years of the candidate's life. It was all about cultivating specific virtues: merit, perseverance, discipline, integrity, honor, worthiness, and increasing spiritual perception.
A whole list.
Yeah. And notably, the source states they wouldn't admit slaves or those convicted of felonies, requiring a sound body and mind, and later, even circumcision. It truly paints a picture of an elite, dedicated pursuit of profound wisdom.
It really does, and that naturally leads us to ask, why is such extreme secrecy surrounding this knowledge?
Right.
The source explains that initiates were entranced for periods of varying length, with comparatively few ever fully initiated into the deepest layers.
Those layers of secrecy.
Exactly. And disclosing these secrets often meant death in ancient times.
Yes, seriously.
Apparently. A penalty that really underscores the immense value placed on this knowledge and its perceivable power. Even today's Masonic order, for example, maintains this tradition with strictest of warnings and communicates what they call the lost word in a low breath, preserving a custom of absolute discretion, though, probably without the same dire consequences.
Still, that tradition of secrecy is powerful. One particularly captivating aspect is this idea of two distinct paths: the evening walk for public audiences and the morning walk for select disciples.
Like an inner and outer circle.
Precisely. The lesser mysteries dealt with the human soul, helping candidates become acquainted with it, apparently pictured as a little birdman in Egyptian hieroglyphs, which is kind of interesting.
A birdman. Okay.
But the truly profound revelation, the secret, was reserved for the greater mysteries, which offered a daunting and life-threatening end revealing. It suggests a fundamental distinction between publicly accessible wisdom and a deeper, transformative truth that few were deemed ready to receive.
And what's remarkable about this, according to the source, isn't just the sheer rigor, but how these ancient initiations integrated what we now call science, law, and spirituality into a single, cohesive path to enlightenment.
All interconnected.
Exactly. The Krater, which is apparently a 1770 work on Egyptian priestly initiations, outlines 7 degrees. Yeah, incredibly structured. Starting with practical instructions in the physical sciences, then moving to geometry, architecture, and the symbolic death of Osiris in the 3rd degree.
The symbolic death. We'll probably come back to that.
Oh, definitely. By the 4th degree, candidates were presented with the laws of Egypt and became judges. The later degrees delved into chemistry, astronomy, mathematical sciences, culminating in a detailed explanation of all mysteries.
So we covered everything.
Pretty much. The candidate received a shaved head, an ankh cross, and a white mantle upon completion. It indicates a deeply structured system of esoteric knowledge that had supposedly practical applications in ancient Egyptian society.
And to maintain this elaborate system of secrecy, they developed an inscrutable language and complex symbolism.
Makes sense.
Plato himself reportedly wrote in enigmas, so unintelligible to fools, a deliberate choice to safeguard information. A single figure or symbol could both reveal and conceal.
Double meaning.
Exactly. Meaning it would be obvious to the initiated, but entirely enigmatic to the uninitiated. It's like having a universal code hidden in plain sight, ensuring only those with the key could unlock its profound meaning.
Right. And placing this in a wider context, our source connects this secret knowledge to the Druids in ancient Britain, centuries before Christianity.
The Druids. Okay, interesting link.
Yeah. They are said to have known the secret, symbolized by Stonehenge's astronomical layout, which, remains a wonder of antiquity today.
Absolutely.
Long before the Old or New Testaments were written, the Druids reportedly had a virgin mother with a child and celebrated the sun god Echu's birth on December 25th.
December 25th. That's familiar.
Very, much like later Christmas traditions. They also believed Echu was resurrected at Easter, showing another striking parallel to the Christian narrative. It suggests, according to this source, a common thread of ancient spiritual knowledge.
So the cross and the serpent were sacred to them too, and part of Masonry's lost word is claimed to be concealed in Echu's name.
That's the claim. It further hints at a shared ancient lineage of esoteric knowledge.
And Druidic initiation.
Involved 3 degrees with 7 sections each, totaling 21 levels. Apparently few successfully passed them all.
21 levels. Wow.
And this included a curious ritual of being buried in a coffin, a symbolic death that our source claims originated from the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid's King's Chamber, reproducing the death of Osiris.
There it is again, the symbolic death and rebirth. A powerful echo across cultures and millennia.
It seems to be a core theme, and this brings us to a particularly provocative aspect. The mystery school's stance on suicide.
Yes.
They called it a crime, warning their disciples of great sorrow that would come to all who took their own lives. The mystery of why they wouldn't discuss it openly might be answered, the source suggests, in the writings of wise Tibetan monks.
Okay.
It mentions a legend of Shankara, who at 33 put off his outward body, meaning he committed suicide.
Right.
His soul, the legend says, was left with the burden of a sin upon him which he had not committed. And the legend also states, at whatever age one puts off his outward body by free will, at that age will he be made to die a violent death against his will in his next rebirth.
Wow. A karmic punishment.
A stark warning, yeah. It raises an important question about the nature of the soul and its journey even beyond a single lifetime and the profound consequences within their belief system.
Definitely gives you pause. So the ultimate aim of the mystery schools, the source claims, was to teach the doctrine of one God, the resurrection of man to eternal life, the dignity of the human soul.
The big questions.
Right. This knowledge, particularly the science of the soul, is said to have existed from the earliest days of civilization on Earth. This wasn't just about abstract beliefs, but a practical application of understanding the human condition and its eternal nature.
And the broader implications of this are profound. The source describes a golden age when golden gods and goddesses roamed the earth, sailing its seas and living within it.
Golden gods.
These beings, the Panthers, instructed humanity in the nature of the human soul, the unseen world, providing the profound understanding that subsequently brought all mystery schools into existence.
So knowledge handed down directly.
That's the idea. It suggests a profoundly different origin for ancient wisdom than commonly believed, one where divine beings directly imparted knowledge to early civilizations rather than humanity developing it solely through trial and error.
Which really challenges the standard narrative of how civilization and spirituality evolved.
Completely. It challenges the very notion of how and when humanity acquired its deepest spiritual insights.
And now prepare for a radical shift in perspective. Our source dives deep into biblical history, and what it finds is, well, quite revolutionary. Forget what you thought you knew about Genesis.
Buckle up. A particularly captivating aspect here is the claim that nearly all cosmological myths, including the Book of Genesis, stemmed from Egypt.
Okay, Egypt again. Central.
Seems to be. The word Elohim in Genesis, commonly translated as God, is actually plural.
Plural, like gods.
Exactly. The source points out that even Bible dictionaries and encyclopedias struggle to explain this linguistic anomaly. In simple terms, it argues that the Old Testament originally stated that gods created everything, not a singular god.
That directly challenges, well, the foundation of monotheism.
Absolutely. It suggests a polytheistic foundation to what is often considered a purely monotheistic text.
And these gods, identified as the great Eni in ancient Egyptian theology, what were they like?
They were reportedly responsible for creating the line of the immortal race on Earth, but they're described as superior human beings with the same passion and needs, but with some sort of transcendental power.
So not ethereal spirits.
No, not according to this. They ate, drank, experienced joy and grief, had bones and muscles, and even aged, like R.A., who is depicted as becoming a wrinkled, stumbling old man with a trembling mouth.
That's a remarkably human-like portrayal for gods. Blurs the lines.
It does, and one might wonder, how could such beings susceptible to illness and death be considered gods in the way we typically understand the term?
Good question.
The answer, according to the source, lies in a mysterious fluid called essay.
Essay.
Yes, essay. Circulating in their bodies, carrying health, vigor, and life. They could apparently transmit this essay to humans to impregnate them with vitality and replenish their own supply from a pond of the essay.
So, like, a biological or energetic source of their power.
That's the suggestion, rather than purely supernatural, and a dynamic exchange of this life-giving substance between these gods and early humanity.
Okay, that's different. The discussion then expands to truly bizarre ancient races.
Oh, yeah. Gets weirder.
Our source mentions Plato's winged races and the Popol Vuh's first human race who could walk, fly, and see objects however distant.
The flying people.
Apparently. Captain Cook even found the stone carvings on Easter Island of humans with hoof-like feet and human-faced birdmen and birdwomen with wings or fins.
Wow. Hoof-like feet.
Birdmen.
Yeah. It's a compelling idea to consider that humanity's early encounters were with a far more diverse range of beings than our current understanding allows for. Suggests a far richer and stranger ancient past. Definitely stretches the imagination. Pulling back, we see how this ties into broader global legends. Accounts like the amphibious Oannes, who reportedly taught civilization to savage peoples.
The fishman teacher.
Right. Or Quetzalcoatl, who issued from the waters, suggest a primordial connection to aquatic origins.
Interesting.
The source even posits that primitive man had gills of a fish and was partly covered with scales, citing old Bible versions where Noah supposedly had upon his chest scales.
Gills and scales. That's a radical reinterpretation of human origin.
Yeah.
Linking us to an aquatic past.
Very radical. And then there are the dwarfs, not just the familiar Teutonic ones, but also found on Easter Island and in Egypt, like the Dangus, the dwarf god Bez, and the six-toed Kunhutpu.
Six-toed, yeah.
Even more startling are the claims of animalistic-type bodies with human heads, a supposed dog-headed baby born in the USA in 1869, and a 1997 report of a tribe of tailed people in Indonesia.
Okay, dog-headed babies and tailed people. This is pushing boundaries. Makes you question what early humanity truly encountered and what normal really meant back then.
It certainly challenges our fixed notions of biology and evolution.
And then there are the giants.
Yes. The giants. Always a popular topic.
We're talking about accounts of 30-foot giants, 17-foot skeletons found in the Philippines, and 12-foot skeletons in New Zealand's Cave of the Giants. The Aztecs even spoke of white-haired giants.
So it's not just one culture's myth.
No, it seems pretty widespread across diverse cultures, suggesting maybe a common underlying truth or at least a shared ancient memory.
Which leads us to ask, if modern science largely denies man has ever been much larger than today, how do we account for these widespread ancient records?
Good point.
Our source cites historical accounts, like Norden's 1757 travels in Egypt and Nubia, describing hieroglyphic carvings of giants raising pillars with the help of smaller workers.
Visual evidence, sort of.
And it also points to archaeological findings that suggest the older the excavated skeletons are, the larger, taller, and more powerful their structure,
Okay.
directly contradicting modern scientific consensus, according to this book. The Bible itself, the source argues, records 6 races of giants, including the Nephilim, who supposedly survived the flood. They were also known as guardians or watchers.
Nephilim, watchers. I've heard those terms.
Right. Sumerian clay tablets speak of knowledge given by the Anunnaki, which sounds strikingly similar to the sons of Anun in the Book of Jasher.
Anunnaki, Sumeria, more connections.
And the highly regarded Book of Enoch, which was banned by the church for its dangerous knowledge, describes heavenly watchers sent to develop a degenerate mortal race who apparently feasted on dead substance.
Okay. That paints a very different picture of early human civilization and the beings interacting with it.
Very different, but here's the twist in this narrative. These watchers, originally described as holy, spiritual, eternal beings, reportedly yielded to temptation.
Ah, the fall.
Exactly. They consorted with good-looking daughters of men. The source offers a controversial and rather explicit description of these women, detailing physical characteristics it links to their interaction with the watchers.
Right. Let's just say it's a specific description.
Yes. These illegal sexual encounters produced giant sons, the Nephilim, as described in the Old Testament, and the 3,000-year-old Ethiopian text, Kebra-Nagast, describes how these giant babies were born by forced cesarean section, splitting their mothers' bellies.
That's incredibly visceral and disturbing. A primal fall challenging our understanding of angelic beings and early human interactions.
It is. And this fall of the Watchers, a flagrant contravention of their mission, led to the commencement of the line of the mortal race on Earth, a line that still exists today and includes 2 distinct races, according to the source.
Good races.
And the broader implication of this, the source suggests, is that the origin of circumcision was actually a mark.
A mark. For what?
To allow women to distinguish and not be deceived by the carnivorous sons of darkness, the descendants of these watchers.
Wow. So recontextualizing a major religious practice as a kind of practical defense mechanism against these giant descendants.
That's the interpretation offered, profoundly shifting our understanding of its origins.
Okay, this next claim gets even more controversial. In 1992, the international media widely reported that the first 10 books of the Old Testament are fiction.
I remember some buzz around that.
Professor Thomas Thompson, a biblical archaeologist, publicly announced this. His findings centered on the city of Jerusalem. He concluded that Jerusalem wasn't even in existence at the time the Bible claims it was.
Not in existence.
Developed 500 years later, he said, in the 7th century BC. That's a massive chronological shift, challenging foundational historical assumptions.
Huge. What stands out in this section is that Thompson's research, backed by world experts, including the British Museum, provided what the source calls incontrovertible evidence of chronological inconsistencies within the Old Testament.
And how big were the inconsistencies?
Some discrepancies spanning 4 centuries. He argues that major characters like Moses, Jacob, Abraham, along with kings like Saul, David, and Solomon, were mere fictions.
Fictions, like never existed.
Derived from ancient oral traditions, he argues, like a game of Chinese whispers, becoming distorted beyond recognition over time. This fundamentally challenges the historical accuracy of foundational biblical narratives, suggesting they are more akin to embellished folklore than factual accounts.
So if Moses didn't write the Torah, who did, according to this source?
The source claims the Torah received its form at the hands of Ezra, a high priest and scribe around 400 BC.
Ezra.
He was identified as an Egyptian, known in Manetho's records as Osarsiph the Muse, and notably, he was a Panther adept.
A Panther adept. Back to that.
Exactly. He even adapted his name from Osra, an abbreviated combination of Osiris and Ra, clearly linking him to Egyptian mystery traditions and the secret knowledge we discussed earlier.
So, an Egyptian initiate wrote the Torah. That's the claim.
That's the claim, which naturally leads us to ask, why would Ezra create a fictitious narrative and claim divine visions for it?
Right. What was the motive?
The source explains that Ezra supernaturalized the Torah, fabricating divine communication so as they may indeed see but not perceive, essentially creating a narrative that would be accepted by the masses but conceal deeper truths for the initiated.
A coded message within a story.
Precisely. He deliberately added, diminished, and introduced fictional innovations to create a new and divine revelation for a populace he saw as primitive.
Like the parting of the Red Sea.
For example, yes. The famous parting of the waters in Exodus is claimed to be sourced from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, describing Ari's journey across the Sea of Reeds.
Sea of Reeds, not Red Sea.
Okay. And even the Ten Commandments, it's claimed, were newly stated versions of the ancient pharaonic confessions from spell number 125 of the Book of the Dead.
So, borrowing heavily from Egypt, implying a strategic rather than purely divine authorship for a specific purpose.
That's the argument presented. The broader implications of this are fascinating. The Torah, despite its claimed disfigured wording and fictitious narratives, supposedly contained remarkable underlying knowledge.
Like what?
For instance, the numerical value associated with light was given as 186,400.
Which is incredibly close to the speed of light.
Strikingly close. And the families of Israel, when understood numerologically, apparently gave the proportions of the 360-degree heavens.
Mathematical codes, too.
Yeah. The source asserts that the Torah had a dual purpose: to provide laws regarding morals and particularly hygiene for an early populace who, according to the author, engaged in very basic practices, highlighting the urgent need for fundamental societal laws.
So practical rules for the masses.
Right. But simultaneously, it concealed a profound spiritual message for the initiated, serving as a manual for both the physical and spiritual advancement of humanity.
Okay, let's shift gears. Our deep dive now takes us to the Giza Plateau, a place shrouded in far more mystery than we realize. The Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, they are not what we've been told, according to this perspective.
Right. A particularly captivating aspect here is the claim that not half the truth is known about the Great Pyramid. Not half. That's what the source insists. Traditional Egyptology, focusing solely on crumbling ruins, misses the intriguing narratives of the early historians. Herodotus, for example, described the Nile water being introduced through an artificial duct surrounding an island where Cheops was supposedly interred.
Water surrounding it, like a moat.
Something like that, suggesting the pyramid complex was far more integrated with water and had a different, possibly functional purpose than just a simple tomb.
Interesting. And we learned that Pharaoh Cheops didn't build the Great Pyramid.
Apparently not, merely restored some external portions, like the huge white casing stones, which Herodotus described as being massive, not less than 30 feet in length.
Huge. So who built it then?
The Great Pyramid itself is described as probably the first structure ever built on Earth, constructed for a much greater purpose or purposes than a tomb, enshrining a lost science.
The first structure ever, built for lost science. That challenges, well, everything about our timeline of ancient engineering.
Completely. Pushing its origins back into an almost unimaginable past. And this naturally leads us to ask about the nature of this lost science and ancient technology.
What kind of tech are we talking about?
The source speaks of the Western Pyramid, which it identifies as the Black Pyramid, containing non-corrosive iron and plastics and machines of transparent metal.
Plastics, transparent metal, in ancient Egypt.
That's the claim. It mentions Tutankhamun's knives with handles crafted from a solid, translucent, glass-like substance, which are apparently on display in the Egyptian Museum.
Glass-like handles.
Okay. Furthermore, Herodotus recounts Egyptian priests describing strangely designed mechanical artifacts hidden within the pyramid, suggesting a level of technological advancement that defies our current historical models.
So it's not just about moving big stones. It implies mastery of materials and mechanics we associate with much later eras.
Exactly. But the real paradigm shift comes when our source states that the Great Pyramid was built from the top down.
Top down.
Conjuring mental images of peculiar anti-gravity devices operated by people of an unknown nature. An ancient Arabic papyrus supposedly recounts stones moving through the air by distance of one bowshot after secret things were written on papyrus and placed beneath them.
Levitation by written words. That's magical thinking. Or a lost technology.
It's presented as a lost technology, potentially powered by esoteric knowledge, challenging all our assumptions about ancient construction. The broader implications are astounding. Herodotus himself mentioned a machine and engines resting on the stones for raising blocks.
Which academics dismissed.
Right, as absurd because they believed such technology didn't exist then. But the source points to a film from Tibet in the early 20th century, reportedly showing stones being moved exclusively by the sound of long Ragdan trumpets.
Moving stones with sound. Sonic levitation.
That's the suggestion. Mastery of sound as a means of levitation. And then there are the Vimanas.
Ah, the flying machines from Indian texts.
Exactly. Ancient aerial vessels described in thousands-year-old Indian Sanskrit manuscripts. These texts detailed different types of aircraft for both civil aviation and warfare, suggesting flying machines existed thousands of years ago.
With designs and equipment.
Apparently with intricate designs, pilot qualifications, and onboard equipment like cameras and radar, long before the Wright brothers. It compels us to consider that history, as we know it, may be seriously incomplete.
Definitely makes you wonder. Okay, moving on to the Sphinx. It's presented as far more than just an emblem, a stoic beholder of ancient secrets, directly linked to the Torah somehow.
And what's truly striking is the geological evidence cited severe weathering caused by water erosion.
Water erosion in the desert.
Exactly, suggesting it stood exposed to massive amounts of water for far longer than officially accepted, perhaps even from a prehistoric period when sea levels were significantly different or rainfall patterns were vastly different.
Which would push its origin back. Way back. Tens of thousands of years, maybe.
That's the implication, directly contradicting the traditional timeline of its construction around Khafre's reign.
And the head seems less eroded than the body.
Interestingly, yes. The head shows significantly less erosion, implying it was reduced by reshaping in later times. Its original form may have been entirely different, perhaps more animalistic, like a lion's head originally.
Recarved later.
Yeah.
Okay. This leads us to question the true location of biblical cities.
Yeah, this is another big one. Our source claims Cairo, specifically Old Cairo, was the site of the original Babylon.
Babylon. In Egypt. Not Mesopotamia.
Not according to this source. It was known as Perhapion, supposedly the site of the Tower of Babel and Hanging Gardens, built within sight of the Great Pyramid, and served as the gateway to the god at Anen, which is Heliopolis.
So Giza was Babylon.
That's the assertion. Maps as recent as 250 years ago even identified Cairo as formerly Babylon, adding a cartographical layer to this controversial claim.
So if this is true, when Ezra led the exiled people from Babylon, he was actually departing from the Giza complex.
That would be the logical conclusion of this theory, yes. Not Mesopotamia.
Mind-bending. And the Temple of Jerusalem, before the jealous god of Exodus, revered a metallic serpent and his wife Asherah.
Apparently. Often referred to as the Holy See, which was later painted red and carried from the Black Pyramid's summit. Even Abraham's home, Haran, is claimed to be Haran near Giza.
These connections completely reframe the geography and chronology of biblical events, suggesting a deep, interconnected history centered around Egypt.
It really does. The extent of the subterranean tunnel system and associated chamber facilities beneath Giza is also crucial to understanding these mystery school teachings.
Tunnels under the pyramids.
Vast systems, apparently. The Fayum Oasis boasted the famous labyrinth with 1,500 rooms above ground and just as many underground chambers, specifically designed to hide scrolls and ancient texts.
1,500 rooms underground.
Yeah. And in 1935, a subterranean connection was supposedly found between the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, verified by Dr. Salim Hassan.
A direct tunnel link.
And what's equally significant is the discovery of Campbell's tomb near the Sphinx, 4 enormous vertical shafts leading down.
What was down there?
First, a spacious room, then another shaft to a court with 7 side chambers containing huge sealed sarcophagi. A third shaft dropped to a flooded chamber, the Tomb of Osiris, which held a solitary white sarcophagus, revealed in a apparently fabricated 1999 TV documentary.
Fabricated. Okay, so some claims are disputed even within this narrative, but it highlights a vast, potentially interconnected underground world, a repository of ancient secrets.
Possibly. Which naturally leads us to ask, how are these vast underground areas illuminated for thousands of years?
Good question. Torches would run out of oxygen fast.
Exactly. The source cites an ancient papyrus from a mosque in Cairo dated to 100 BC, describing a chamber automatically illuminated by light from a tube being the height of one man's hand, standing vertically in the corner.
A light tube, like ancient electricity.
It further states that as we approach the tube, it shone brighter. This suggests light makers and perpetual lamps, perhaps with asbestos wicks, possibly fueled by alchemical research. The idea of continuous self-sustaining light sources points to a level of advanced knowledge beyond what we typically attribute to ancient civilizations.
Perpetual light. And here's where it gets truly astonishing. Some accounts describe automatons guarding these galleries.
Robots. Seriously.
That's the word used.
Oh.
One story from the 17th century involves a robot in a Rosicrucian tomb in England that moved to destroy a perpetual lamp when an intruder stepped on certain stones.
To protect the secret.
Exactly, preventing the discovery of the secret substance that maintained the flame. This is eerily similar to Arab historians' claims of automatons guarding galleries under the Great Pyramid. It suggests advanced mechanisms and a fierce protection of these ancient secrets, hinting at a forgotten era of sophisticated robotics.
Automatons and perpetual lights under Giza. It's like something out of science fiction, but presented as ancient history?
Okay, our deep dive now reveals that the Great Pyramid and the Bible are intimately linked through a mysterious object and an even more mysterious language.
Right, the connections get deeper. The Benben, a sacred pyramidal object, is called the celestial chamber in pyramid texts.
Benben.
It's described as made of star material and literally came from the heavens. It was around 15 feet high, sometimes described as a 55-faceted sphere. Ancient beliefs held that Ra and Kepra arrived on Earth in it from the planet of millions of years.
Came from the heavens, like a meteorite or something else?
Well, it wasn't apparently a dense stone, but something observers could see into, suggesting it was clear-sided glass or crystalline in substance.
Leslie.
It was the most esteemed object at Heliopolis, enshrined in the Temple of the Benben, the very first obelisk in history. This paints a picture of potentially an alien artifact revered and used for powerful purposes.
An alien artifact is the capstone. The broader implications are quite radical. Sumerian writings describe Prince Ninighel's invasion, where he specifically targeted the luminous crown capping the Great Pyramid, described as Ra's celestial chamber.
Targeting the capstone?
Yes. After conquering the defenders, who hid in subterranean chambers, Ninighel sent the top, the Benben, sliding down to the west, essentially switching off the Great Pyramid's power.
Switching it off.
By removing the energy cap over the crown chakra. This narrative suggests the Benben was not just a symbolic capstone, but a functional power source, literally turning the pyramid on and off like a machine.
A giant power switch made of star material. So what was its precise function if it wasn't merely decorative?
It's proposed as a God-given perpetual generator.
A generator.
A clear pyramidal structure acting as a focal point to gather in, convert, and distribute light from the sun into energy, projecting it into the pyramid's chambers.
Harnessing solar energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the Benben in place, a huge rainbow serpent was created and could be seen from miles away as the sun's rays penetrated it, causing the crystalline cap to glow with a vertical spiral of light.
The rainbow serpent.
This isn't just a metaphor, according to the source. It's presented as a physical phenomenon that powered the entire complex and symbolized the core of the initiation process, suggesting a forgotten science of energy conversion.
Wow. Okay, and this leads to a profound revelation. The rainbow serpent isn't just a visual phenomenon, it's the key to the sacred script.
How so?
Our source states that physically reproducing the rainbow serpent's spiral shape, whether in plastic, brass, or metal, and slowly revolving, it casts 22 different shaped shadows.
Yeah, it does.
These are precisely the 22 separate letters of the alphabet that the Torah was written in.
The Hebrew alphabet, derived from light shadows cast by a replica of the Benben's energy spiral.
That's the assertion. A tangible connection between ancient light phenomena and the very structure of a sacred text. And here's where it gets truly profound. The Torah's original divine language was composed of a series of supernatural letters sourced from the shape and design of the rainbow serpent inside the Benben that came from the sky thousands of years ago.
So the letters themselves are divine, originating from this object.
Yes. Ezra, knowing this secret, instructed his scribes to write the Torah in characters they knew not, effectively embedding this extraordinary knowledge directly into the text, like a hidden code.
Which naturally leads us back to the question, what about the words themselves, given the earlier discussion of biblical inconsistencies in fiction?
Right, and the source argues, and this is crucial, it does not matter what the words of Ezra's Torah scroll say or how inaccurate they are. It is irrelevant if they are fictitious.
The story doesn't matter.
What matters is the knowledge that every word of the Torah scroll was written in a sacred script, a divine language. This implies that the Torah is a living texture, a fabric or live body of sacred letters where not one letter could be excised without harming the entire body.
So the message isn't the narrative, it's the letters, the code itself.
That's the idea. The true message lies not in the literal story, but in the underlying genetic code of its characters. This recontextualizes the chronological problems and inconsistencies we discussed earlier.
Because the surface narratives are claimed to be unhistorical and irrelevant.
Exactly. The true meaning is found in the sacred letters themselves, revealing itself differently at different levels, with many lights shine forth from each word and letter. The source says the Torah has 70 faces.
70 faces. Multiple layers of meaning. Not just the story, but this underlying multi-layered code waiting to be deciphered.
And a particularly captivating aspect here is the idea that the Torah's sacred language is a computer program in itself.
A computer program.
Yeah. And capable of future prediction. The source references a 1994 study by Israeli mathematicians, Professor Eliyahu Rips, Dorn Whitsam, and Yoav Rosenberg. They found equidistant letter sequences, or ELS, in Genesis.
ELS, like the Bible code stuff.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Patterns formed by letters equally spaced apart, like reading every 50th letter. Their study showed that these ELS correctly predicted the names of 32 sages with odds of 60,000 to 1.
Wow. Statistically significant.
And even more remarkably, the word Torah appeared at the same ELS of 50 letters in both Genesis and Exodus, with odds calculated at 3 million to 1.
3 million to 1.
This points, the source argues, to an undeniable input of a higher intelligence, suggesting a deep, intelligent design rather than mere human authorship, and that the text literally holds encrypted information about the future.
Okay, that's a heavy claim. This divine language also ties into the tarot. How?
The source claims the Book of Thoth, an ancient Egyptian book of symbols, evolved into the tarot, specifically its 22 major arcana cards.
Book of Thoth to tarot.
And the word tarot is traced to Toro, the plural of Torah, further linking these seemingly disparate traditions. And the Gypsies, said to be Egyptians, reportedly carried the precious Book of Thoth to Europe, acting as the guardians of this ancient wisdom, preserving its secrets through generations.
So the tarot isn't just fortune-telling, but derived from Egyptian wisdom via the Gypsies.
That's the presented lineage. The broader implication is that the 22 major arcana cards are directly linked to the Giza complex and the first 5 books of the Bible. The designs were reportedly found in the temples of Thebes and the Book of the Dead.
Used in initiations.
Yes, used in Egyptian initiation rituals where the candidate was guided past 22 frescoed paintings, receiving interpretations of their mystical figures and symbols. The candidate herself was the 22nd aspect, representing the unnumbered Fool card.
The Fool's Journey.
Symbolizing the seeker on the path to enlightenment. This shows a deep, ancient system of symbolic instruction where the tarot is seen as a compendium of esoteric knowledge.
Even figures from later history, like Sir Francis Bacon, he gets involved.
Yeah. According to the source, yes. Bacon, who supposedly edited and encoded the Bible in 1610, was a master of concealing secret information using various ciphers.
Like what?
He created the bilateral cipher using 2 subtly different typefaces and employed pictorial cryptograms like the Eye of Horus as the capstone on the Great Seal of the United States.
The eye on the pyramid on the dollar bill.
Linked to Bacon, yes. He supposedly linked the King James Bible to Shakespeare's plays using identical headpiece designs on title pages and even embedded his personal cipher number, 33, into texts.
33. Significant number in Masonry, too.
Indeed. His AA signature, standing for Athena, signifies hidden knowledge and his role as the head of the spear shakers, a deliberate clue where spear shaker reversed becomes Shakespeare.
Oh, so Bacon wrote Shakespeare and encoded the Bible. That's a huge conspiracy theory.
It's definitely presented as part of a grand, orchestrated effort to embed secrets into foundational texts. Pulling back, we see how this ties into a larger pattern of hidden codes.
More codes.
Bacon's clue about Solomon's temple referencing King's Temple 7 times on page 33 in Chapter 7 of Advancement of Learning is presented as a deliberate code. The numbers 7 and 33 were deeply significant to initiates.
7 and 33.
The number 33 recurs with Solomon's 33-year rule, David's 33 years in Jerusalem, and Jesus' crucifixion at 33, all pointing, according to this view, to deeper truths ciphered into the texts.
It indicates a conscious, deliberate effort across centuries to embed hidden knowledge within these revered documents, transforming them into complex puzzles for the initiated.
That's the picture painted.
So how do we unlock these mysteries then? Is there a master key?
Well, Ezra, it's claimed, ciphered a code into Psalm 119 to reveal the Book of Thoth's secrets.
Psalm 119, the really long one.
That's the one. It has 22 sections, each corresponding to a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Each section has 8 verses, and all 8 lines of each verse begin with that section's particular Hebrew letter.
That alphabetical structure is very deliberate.
Extremely. This provides, according to the source, a vital inside information that identifies the 22 major tarot cards, despite disputes about their numerical sequence in modern packs.
So Psalm 119 is the key to the tarot.
That's the claim. And in the Book of Exodus, verses 19, 20, and 21 of chapter 14 are said to conceal an ancient cipher related to the number 72.
The 72 again. Significant how?
Deeply significant in the Hebrew astronomical system, 72 divisions, Kabbalist angels 72, and even Jesus' 72 followers mentioned in Luke. The letters, when separated and read in a specific pattern across these verses, reportedly yield 72 different 3-letter names, the Shem Ham-Forash, or the 72 names of God.
Wow. Suggesting a deeply embedded numerical code that unlocks hidden divine names.
Exactly. The source also reveals the gypsy secret.
That's that.
22 rhyming sentences given by an elderly gypsy woman in Cornwall believed to be the secrets of the Book of Thoth.
Yeah.
Remarkably, these sentences directly parallel the clues found in Psalm 119. Yes. Suggesting a continuous, unbroken oral tradition, preserving knowledge that aligns perfectly with the hidden ciphers in the Bible. A testament, perhaps, to the enduring nature of these ancient secrets.
Okay, our deepest dive now takes us to the core of the mystery school's purpose. The journey to heaven itself. An experience of profound transformation.
The ultimate goal, right. The Book of the Dead is described here as a replica in literature for the interior layout of the Great Pyramid and associated underground facilities.
So the book is a map of the pyramid.
Or the pyramid is a physical manifestation of the book's journey, making the pyramid not just a structure, but an instrument of initiation.
An initiation machine.
Essentially. The Osiris account, for example, provided the original model of death and resurrection for major religions. Seth cutting Osiris into 14 pieces, Isis collecting them to make the first imperishable mummy, excluding the phallus.
Right.
This mummified body was then placed in the Queen's Chamber, which today is called the Chamber of New Birth.
Chamber of New Birth.
Okay. The pyramid effect was described as a magical force believed to bring about astral rebirth in the King's Chamber sarcophagus, which served as the resurrection machine.
The sarcophagus as a resurrection machine.
Allowing the soul of Osiris, or the initiate, to depart from the mummy and rise up through the inclined soul shaft towards Orion's belt, believed to be the original home of Osiris.
So, escaping the body, traveling to the stars via the pyramid's alignment, suggests a sophisticated understanding of consciousness, astral projection maybe?
That's what it implies, an understanding that goes far beyond simple burial rites. Which naturally leads us to ask, why do biblical narratives echo these ancient rituals so closely?
The parallels seem strong.
Very. The source claims Jesus' 3.5-day period of suffering before rising again is a direct counterpart to the 84-hour initiation ceremonies in Egypt, which supposedly started Wednesday evening and ended Sunday morning.
84 hours. 3.5 days. Okay.
The mystical age of 30, given for Jesus at the commencement of his ministry, wasn't necessarily literal years, but a stage in initiation, achieved after completing the compulsory 12 years of training and personal effort.
So 30 was like a rank or level achieved.
That's the interpretation, recontextualizing Jesus' story as an esoteric initiation journey rather than solely a historical narrative, drawing strong parallels to ancient Egyptian rites.
How did the initiation itself supposedly work?
Candidates passed through the Royal Arch of the Solstice, under the Sphinx, identified as the true gateway to physical initiation.
Under the Sphinx.
They endured the shock of entrance in the Hall of Initiates, a brutal experience designed to alarm them, including a cable around the neck and a sharp implement like a dagger to the bare chest.
Sounds pretty harrowing.
Definitely. They placed their hand on the Book of Thoth, or Torah in Masonry, and faced 21 lavishly carved columns representing the 21 major tarot pictures we talked about.
The tarot again.
The candidate himself was the 22nd aspect, the unnumbered Fool card, symbolizing the seeker on the perilous path to enlightenment.
And then?
Then came the ascent through the Hall of Truth in darkness, a low, dark passage requiring hands and knees, likened to the Passage of the Veil.
Claustrophobic.
And finally, the Grand Gallery, where the candidate carried an and/or dragged the heavy cross up a 157-foot slope.
Carrying a cross inside the pyramid.
While being struck with reeds and fists by 56 judges, a clear parallel to Jesus' passion narrative, suggesting a profound symbolic and physical ordeal.
The parallels are undeniable there.
The place of the skull wasn't a physical location like Golgotha, but a symbolic display of a human skull used in these rites to connect the initiate with a higher awareness of purpose. The password was JOHVA.
Vocally similar to Jehovah, showing a continuity of sacred names.
Exactly. The final stage was the chamber of the open tomb, the king's chamber.
The resurrection machine room.
Right. There, after whispering the secret word Mahuaboni, similar to Mahabon in Freemasonry, and facing 7 judges in animal masks representing gods like Anubis and Osiris.
Animal mass.
The candidate received 3 sharp blows to his forehead with a wooden mallet. A symbolic death.
Symbolic death by mallet blows. Intense.
His mummy-like body was then lowered into the stone coffer, the resurrection machine, in a profound ritual of spiritual rebirth.
What's fascinating here is that this resurrection wasn't just about the afterlife. It was a newness of life, a development of a higher consciousness.
Becoming twice born.
Right, achieving a moral change.
Yeah.
This mystical death provided private access to an elevated and more subtle state of being, a profound spiritual rebirth that transformed the initiate's perception of reality.
It implies a conscious, deliberate method for achieving altered states of consciousness, maybe even enlightenment.
Which leads to the Pards experience, or paradise.
Paradise.
Our source claims this is a controlled and inducible at will near-death experience, NDE, or out-of-body state.
Inducible at will.
Achievable through the meditative use of the one single element of the rainbow serpent. It's not a random event, but a cultivated spiritual journey, suggesting that the ultimate heavenly experience can be deliberately induced and explored.
So you could choose to have this experience. Rabbi Akiba's journey through 7 heavens and his return, as described in the source, is presented as an identical controlled journey into heaven and back.
Like astral travel on demand.
Where he eventually stood trembling before his creator. The Book of Enoch and the original Book of Revelation, which the source claims is a later forgery in its canonical form, also detailed this experience, suggesting a shared hidden knowledge of how to transcend the physical realm and access higher dimensions.
So the secret of the secret isn't just one thing, but 4 levels of understanding the Torah, or perhaps reality itself.
Right. Shat, the simple meaning, Ramaz, the hint or illusion, Darash, the investigative meaning, and Sud, the secret or mystical meaning.
And their initials spell PRDS, Parts Paradise.
Exactly. This profound knowledge and the initials that represent it are claimed to have originated with the leopards at the Great Pyramid.
Leopards, like leopards, or Leo lion.
The source connects it to the priests, perhaps, linking the pyramid itself to the very concept and attainment of paradise.
Which naturally leads us to ask, why was this secret so guarded, to the point where even rabbis who accessed it could fashion their own destruction?
Yeah, if it's so great, why the danger? The Zohar recounts rabbis who apparently fashioned their own destruction by being not mentally prepared for the overwhelming effect of the experience, implying that such profound insight could be dangerous without proper preparation, like spiritual vertigo, maybe.
Information overload?
Could be. Yet the source claims that with the secret, the actual technique, it's an internal personal meditation.
Internal, not the big pyramid ritual.
Something a knowing person could quietly do alone at home every day, at leisure, whenever the need to talk to God arose. This is a stark contrast between a potentially dangerous external ritual and a seemingly safe internal practice, suggesting the ultimate key is personal and accessible once known.
So what stands out is that the Torah's true meaning is engraved in the letters themselves, and understood by the personality when it is open to receive it.
The readiness is all.
These letters of light, elements of divine power, are not inventions of mankind, but reservoirs of divine power that provide for the temporary release of the soul from the body to enter and observe the world of eternal life.
Direct experience of eternity.
It promises a realization of his own divinity and was aware of life eternal. This suggests that the ultimate journey to higher consciousness has always been an intrinsic, internal one, accessible through a profound understanding of these ancient, secret symbols and practices. The true paradise lies within.
A powerful conclusion to that line of thought.
Well, today, we've journeyed through a remarkable, definitely non-orthodox perspective on ancient history, secret societies, and the very texts that underpin major religions.
A real whirlwind.
We've explored claims that challenge traditional narratives, from, giants walking the earth and the fictionalized Old Testament to the Great Pyramid as some kind of machine, and the Bible's divine language hidden in the shape of letters.
It's a lot to take in. This deep dive has presented concepts that span millennia, connecting Egyptian gods, Druid rituals, biblical figures, and even hinting at modern scientific principles, all viewed through the unique lens of Tony Bushby's work.
Yeah.
Whether you accept these interpretations or not, and obviously they're very alternative,
Huh.
they certainly provide a different lens through which to view humanity's pursuit of knowledge and the profound questions of existence. It compels us to re-examine what we think we know.
It definitely does. It leaves us with a provocative thought. If the sacred script of the Torah is, as claimed, a computer program of divine letters, and the Paradise Experience is a controlled internal meditation accessible through ancient knowledge, what other profound yet hidden truths might be waiting for us to discover within ourselves? Just like Einstein famously said, the most beautiful thing we can witness is the mysterious.
Indeed, what does it truly mean if the path to higher consciousness has always been within reach, quietly preserved and waiting to be uncovered? Not necessarily in grand institutions or complex rituals, but perhaps in the very structure of reality itself or within us.
Food for thought. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.